Hi, I'm Tim of the 1916 Company, announcing our all-new 1916 Company app. Check out our all-new community features, including wrist time, where you can log the watch you wear, how often you wear your watches, and see a graphical representation of how you use your collection. But wait, there's more, because this wrist time feature allows you to post in real time to our live feed of user wrist shots. Our community functions also include professionally moderated discussions, all sorts of views, debate, insights into what people want to say about the watches of our times, and all your favorite features are coming back, including media, editorial from Jack Forster, video from yours truly. You can continue to build your online collection and your wish list, plus all the commercial features are back. Buy, trade, and sell through the app, browse our global inventory of pre-owned and new watches. A wrist shot could begin the process of a trade or a purchase. Find the 1916 Company app on the Apple App Store and Google. Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company, and welcome to Collector Conversations. Today, we're featuring one of our own. Melanie started with Govberg, the nucleus of our company, back in 1998, and after a long and varied career in the watch industry, she returned about 1 year ago as our Vice President of Retail, but she did not return alone. Today, Melanie is going to discuss her watch collection and everything from, I guess you could call them impulse buys to inheritance to watches that just grabbed her in the moment. Melanie, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So fun stuff. You're a child of the 80s. You started with Govberg in 1998, and your collection is very much, I saw it, I like it, let's go. But let's start with the earliest memories. Where did you start with watches, and show me the ones that you inherited once we talk about that.
Sure. So my earliest memory with watches really tie into my mom and kind of like shopping adventures with her. So the first one would be this Swatch here. So.
All right, so now this right here, was this the first Swatch? Or was this to remember that first Swatch?
So my first Swatch was one that came out and the bands were scented with, I believe, strawberry, blueberry, vanilla, and also had a cover for the face of the watch so you would not crack it. That was very important. So that was my first Swatch, and then around the same time my mom got her Swatch. This is what remained of our family Swatch collection, however, so.
A very cool Keith Haring pop art, kind of modernist, offbeat, very irreverent, a mural style dial. Did your mom pick this one specifically?
Yes, so we used to do a family trip to New York every Christmas for the holidays, do all the stuff, see the tree, go shopping, and she would drag us all to Bloomingdale's. I didn't know that later in life I would love Bloomingdale's so much, but at the time we were being drugged to Bloomingdale's, and she purchased this watch, and she was very excited about it.
That sounds
core memory.
That sounds very 80s retro. You went to a department store and you got a Swatch.
Exactly.
Super cool, and it's still in great shape, but you need to really take advantage of the free battery replacement.
I do need to do that. Yes.
So now let's talk a little bit about watches that were in the family long term, and maybe these came to you a little bit later, but they were always there behind the scenes. Let's talk first about your mother's Omega de Ville tank watch.
Okay, so this watch has an interesting story. This was gifted to me by my mom about 20 years ago. She gave me a bunch of stuff. I had this watch. I threw it in a little collector box that I had made, and I let it sit there. I thought nothing of it. I did not know it was an Omega. Even all the years I've been in the watch industry and loved watches, I literally gave it not even a sniff. Then about 3 years ago, I read an article, and the cover of the issue featured this watch. And there was also an article by a lady that was speaking about her collecting journey and how she always wanted this particular Omega. And I thought, I have that watch. It's sitting in a box. So I dug it out. The dial was corroded. The strap was worn out. It just was not in good shape.
It was cooked.
It was just done. And I thought, well, let me send it to Omega and see what they can do. And they shipped it off to Switzerland, and basically I waited almost a year and they refurbished the entire thing. The dial looks brand new. They cleaned it and it runs perfect, and they offered me a new strap. So
And it was initially heavily water damaged.
Oh yeah, the whole thing. I mean, I probably shed a few tears when it came back, just for the sheer fact that they had done such a good job in taking this family heirloom that was my mom's, that I had not paid any attention to, and it was like reborn.
And you sort of rediscovered it through your job at working for an Omega retailer, like it kind of resurfaced.
Yep. And I didn't have an Omega, and this is the only Omega I have to this day. There's ones I would like to acquire, but this is my one piece.
Really nice piece. Great factory restoration success story. I know people say never send a vintage watch to the factory. They did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I think the value in the repair had nothing to do, I would never sell this watch, but I think what I spent to have it refurbished was well worth it, just for the memory and bringing it back to life. And I do wear it.
And to have access to like a correct factory dial.
Yeah.
And manual wind, caliber 661, I think, really cool watch on a lot of levels. And monoblock case, everything loads through the back.
It's beautiful.
So now,
I love it.
That's Mom, and this is Pop's.
Yes, so this is my Pop-Pop's watch. Kind of in thinking of the story of this watch. This was gifted to me by my father after my Pop-Pop passed away. And my dad always joked that I'm the only one who cares about the sentimental things. And I happen to actually like watches. So my Pop-Up was a blue collar guy. He was a pharmacist. He lived in the same row home forever. And I believe this to be his nicest possession. So when I acquired it, the condition that you see it in today is the condition I acquired it in. All I did was change the strap, had it cleaned. I wear this watch a lot. I love this watch. The size, the crystal, the styling, the memory.
Absolutely awesome, and really cool too, because you could tell he took great care of it. No wearing through, no gouging, no marks on the dial. This was very carefully owned, and whatever watchmakers took care of it did it expertly. This is a lovely US market LeCoultre 14 karat gold. It's got a DNA case, DiVincenzo and Arienti cased up in New York. This is back when they used knockdown kits from LeCoultre. You'd get the hands, the dial, and the movement. It would have to be cased up in the US because of tariffs. But very neat watch and really cool. I mean, let me ask you, this watch right here, can you remember it from childhood? Can you remember your grandpa wearing this?
I don't. I really don't. I wish that I had that memory. I mean, he was very simple man, family guy, wanted to smoke a cigar. To throw him under this bush outside of house. We called it the cigar bush. And I think he wore it once a year. I mean, I think this was like his Sunday best.
It was like his trophy.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes, and I will treasure it as well.
That's an awesome watch, and still fully functional.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit now about where you sort of got into watch collecting in your own right, because these are legacy pieces from the family, but as you entered the watch industry, you began to take an interest in watches. So take me on a journey through these watches as you acquired them. Sort of walk me through your thinking as you started to build a collection.
Sure. I mean, a lot of what I have here were aesthetic choices. There are stories with several of these watches, but most of my interest in watches came from seeing the watch and saying, I love that. That is super cool. What cool means is my own version of cool. It could be a color, it could be the shape. I tend to like retro things. I like generally a larger watch, even though I'm not set on a certain size. I mean, I have to put it on my wrist and see. So my journey here is a little bit all over the board. Let's see where I should start.
Maybe we talk about starting with Breitling, since it's a place you worked in your career that actually led to a couple of acquisitions. How'd you wind up with a Rouleau bracelet?
So I worked for Breitling. I love the brand. I love the history. The products are awesome. And when Breitling was getting ready to re-release the Chronomat, I don't know, 4 years ago, I knew it was coming to market. I couldn't tell anybody because we want to surprise and delight our clients. At the same time, I saw this in a showcase in one of my jewelers that I used to work with, and I thought, that is really cool. I want to own an original Rouleau/bullet bracelet. And I love the weight of that bracelet. I love the styling. Nobody makes that bracelet, which to this day I think is super cool. So I purchased that prior to the launch of the Chronomat coming back to market, knowing that I wanted to wear this watch. And then I was able to show my clients at the time, hey, this is a really neat vintage piece, by the way. Does stand the test of time when it comes to styling, and from a sales perspective, you can feel good showing this to your clients who want to wear something different.
Yeah, when you curate the history, your sales pitch for the modern watch is a lot more compelling because this is history worth remembering. It's living on your wrist.
Yeah.
So interesting watch because the rouleau bracelet as it was originally built, we were talking about this, it's very supple, it's very strong. In a lot of ways, it's almost like leather that's broken in. It's a little bit more flexible even, I'd say, than the current one.
Yeah, and it's got a nice weight. I mean, they used to say that the rouleau looked like a roll of coins on the side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was cool, whether it's true or not.
Now, I know you like watches that are a little bit on the large side, but you were talking to me a little bit earlier about why you're teaching people as the VP of retail to de-emphasize this notion of like men's watches and ladies' watches, because some people will find men's watches appealing for women and women's watches appealing for men.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really help anyone to brand these things out of the box.
No, I mean, I think if you define size and style for a client, you've already taken them to a place that they are not going to be open and honest with you about what they're seeking for their, doesn't have to be a collection, it could be commemorating something, whatever the reason they have for purchasing that watch. I want to make sure that we present options that are varied and they try it on. And I've met so many women who wear their husband's watch. And so I like to say that those women have inspired me to recognize that there's a million styles out there. So the watch industry will say, we don't have enough watches for ladies. Does that mean we don't have enough diamond watches out there? Or does that mean we're not presenting all the things that the brands already have to women that want to, add a watch?
And for guys who want to wear a smaller watch, I mean, let's face it, Winston Churchill's arm was like my bicep and he wore a 36mm Datejust. So, I mean, it's the man who makes the watch or the woman who makes the watch, not the other way around. And like another good example, when Patek came out with the 7234, the smaller 37.5 Calatrava Pilot, initially they marketed it as a women's watch, and then people started saying, well, I'm a guy and I want to wear this. And they're like, okay, well, we'll be more diplomatic. We'll just call it the midsize. And that works for everyone.
Yeah. I used to wear an IWC Portuguese. I do not remember the reference number. And I regretfully sold it. I have not sold many of my watches because I regret it every time. And in those days, 15 or 16 years ago when I wore that was large for a lady. And the rep at the time wore that watch. And I was like, she's the coolest. I want to wear that watch. And I still have the straps to match, but not the watch.
So now a very cool story then, like right in line with that reasoning is your Navitimer 92, which back in 1992 would have been considered a full-size watch and quite large.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you found this watch. It's got a lovely, authentic tritium fade dial, blue, silver. It's got everything going on.
Yeah. So in my Breitling days, I wore a 43mm Navitimer for about 7 years. I loved the watch. It always felt just a little bit big for me. And when I moved on to my next career, I parted with that watch. But around that time period, I also saw this in a pre-owned assortment, and I was like, that's my watch. I was not familiar with this 92 Navitimer, but the minute I put it on my wrist, I was like, this is my watch, this is the size. Now I have a Navitimer, it's iconic. I want to own this. I've had people try to buy it from me. I'm like, it's not for sale. 92 is the year I graduated high school, so had a little connection. I wouldn't say it's not a birth year watch, but it's a commemorative year watch.
Yeah, it's a really cool watch.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, this is really neat. Like a Speedmaster Professional is just too big to compare directly to a Daytona. This is a nice size comp to like a 1990s Daytona.
Yeah, I love it.
A fantastic piece, really neat, a lot of character, slide rule. Although this one's interesting, it's got a telemeter bezel too. This is full of surprises.
Now it's not, I don't think it's really, it's not the 7-link Navitimer bracelet, which I also thought was interesting. So it has a little bit more of a sporty aspect to it, which I also like.
Yeah, it's not quite as dressy as the 7-link. Also interesting, you can always tell the birth date of these bracelets. This one was born in the 47th week of 1995. Always fun to be able to read those codes. Probably pretty close to the age of the watch.
That's pretty good. So
now take me on a journey from there as you started moving towards, I guess we could describe them as larger timepieces.
Yeah. So some of the rest of the items I've here really were aesthetic choices. Let's see.
Well, let's go with the ultimate in aesthetics. Okay, so you worked at one point with Hamilton.
Yes.
And so Richard Arbib, the original designer, is often associated with the Ventura, but this one's much more modern and pop-oriented. Tell me about this story.
So I love the Ventura. I love the styling of it. It's so weird and cool. This watch, my time working with Hamilton and spending a lot of time in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is the original home of Hamilton watches. I really have a connection to the brand. So that coupled with my love of fashion, this watch just stood out. It's kind of odd in its own way, but it's a partnership with an artist called Poggy the Man, who is basically like Japanese streetwear, kind of pop art, very cool, and it ties into his love of watches and his love of design. So it's an interesting circle. I don't know that you'd organically connect the two, but I think when you tell the story, it works, and I don't know, there's nothing like it.
As a child of the 80s, are you drawn to this furious fuchsia and black combo?
Oh yeah. I'm drawn to all bright colors, bordering on neon.
I know back in the day, this would have been called hot pink, but it's a very cool look.
Yeah, and you know, this watch, talking about size, is definitely unisex because the classic version of this is marketed to men generally. So,
I mean, Elvis, it doesn't get more manly than that, you know?
Yeah, and apparently Poggy was a big Elvis fan, so when I read about him, I was like, okay, all right.
Highly recommended Instagram account too. Big into watches and cars and sneakers. Like, I feel like he could relate and connect with a lot of people. That's about as broad as an appeal as you can get today. So a fun watch on a lot of levels, but they really kind of all are. And some of them are just so sort of, I guess maybe you could say outlandish that you just fall in love head over heels. This is a great example of that. We've got an engine-turned bezel, a concentric dial, orange and blue in 34 millimeters, and it's a Rolex.
Yes.
Tell me the story behind this, because this is like a miracle. I've never seen one of these like this.
So this is the only Rolex I have, and I obsess over the color orange. Anyone who knows me knows that is my favorite color, and I always admired this watch just for the look. So they make it in a silver dial with orange numbers, and I was not able to find that, but I also came across this in a pre-owned showcase, and I was like, oh, I really want that. I really like that. I love the font, the Air King font that they still use. It's very retro. I think, I mean, you can correct me, that it's probably an underrated model that, you know.
Well, nothing to correct there.
Yeah,
if you're right.
I think it's so cool and people don't even realize it, which is it's like a little bit of a sleeper. And so I acquired it. I probably don't wear it as much as I should in many ways, but there's no lack of love for that watch.
Now, this is a really cool watch because a lot of people say, oh, well, Rolex, the text on the dial is kind of block style. But Rolex had the idea here to use a round robin. So Oyster Perpetual Superlative Chronometer, officially certified. It just, you can read it continuously in circles without ever finding the beginning or the end.
Yeah, I know, it's interesting. And I was like going over some Rolex, you know, training items, and I'm like, where is the stuff denoted on the dial? Because it's supposed to be on there. I was like, oh, it's right in front of my face. I need my reading glasses. And I also know that it comes in other bezels, and I really like this bezel too. I think it's very interesting the way it's adorned, rather than like a smooth bezel.
Very hard to find it like this. I think it's like a 114210. So if you're out there and you're in the hunt for one of these, that's what to look for.
You can't have mine.
No, off the market officially. So every once in a while, you know, you're just passing through and something strikes you. In some cases, you know, maybe it's this Rolex, but for someone who loves orange, you sure do have a lot of blues in this collection. Mom, right. The Rolex, and what might be the coolest Roadster I've ever seen.
So this is a recent purchase. I got it this year for my birthday, and I always wanted a Roadster ever since it was out in real-time production. I never acquired one, but over the last couple of years, I've been watching this model, and I thought, you know, that's such a cool watch. I love the shape of it. Again, you know, yes, there's other case shapes like this, but I don't think anyone does it as well as this particular Roadster version. I'd seen a silver dial, a pink dial, not really a pink girl other than this hot pink, and all of a sudden I walk past another showcase of pre-owned watches, and there it is. I'm like, I've never seen that blue dial before, and I am buying it.
Explosive.
It was a 1-minute decision.
Blue lacquer.
It's so, I think the color is amazing. I love the size. I could not find a lot of information on it, but I knew it was authentic because it was all certified. So I was like, it's mine.
You know, it's really cool because this watch is already fairly rare compared to your Tanks and your Panteras and your Santos. Then you add that blue lacquer dial. This is like a grail watch for modern Cartier collectors, and you have it.
I love it.
So now, is a Cartier micro theme growing in the collection now that you've got your Tank on right now?
I do, yes. Which got some new.
Show that to our lens up there, so they
got some new shoes.
There you go.
In green, and then I have one more that's not with me, which is the must in the burgundy dial and burgundy strap that came out in a series of green, blue, and the burgundy like 3-4 years ago. I didn't bring that with me. But.
You were talking about future ambitions. You might want to add a bonnoir?
Yes.
Do you have a specific one in mind, a bangle maybe?
I think the bangle, I have to try it on, but I'm really drawn to that. I just think it's beautiful. I want to stack it up with a bunch of bracelets and cool stuff on my wrist. So I want to wear that a little bit more like jewelry. I think it would be a nice dress watch. I think if I'm just knocking around in jeans and a tee, it'd be awesome too. So I like the versatility of that watch.
You also mentioned like the Tubagas multi-coil Serpenti is something you'd like to own in the future.
Yeah, I wouldn't turn it down.
Maybe vintage?
I would do vintage. Yeah, it doesn't have to be, I don't really particularly care what era it's from. I just love the wrap function. I also like the ones they came out with a little while ago that had a combination of ceramic and metal. I don't own anything like that, and I think style-wise it's very interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people own them just as objet d'art because they're so cool.
Oh, they're amazing. Yeah.
So this collection is really a work in progress, and I guess sometimes you actually go to work on making that progress where the factory has kind of trailed off. So this started as the Genbi Valley Grand Seiko, but you added an element that the factory neglected. So tell me about the story about this, because this came out in 2021, 140th anniversary of the larger Seiko company, Genbi Valley Green, but it didn't look like this from the factory.
No, so I was really drawn to this collection. There are 3 different green dials that came out. I knew I wanted something with green. It was, becoming trendy, but I still enjoyed it. I don't necessarily buy trend. And this was the color I liked the most. And I was lucky enough to be gifted this watch after a good year at work. And I received it.
How is that for gratitude from an employer? A watch for a good year, not a retirement, not a career, one good year.
It was very nice, and it was a little trick was played on me, and I thought it was set aside for another client, and I was a little disappointed I wasn't going to get my dream green Grand Seiko, and ultimately it had been set aside for me. So that's a really fun story and a great memory. It originally came on a brown strap and looked really nice, and I wore it that way for a while, but something was like nagging at me about it that I wanted to just change it a little bit. So I did order this beads of rice style bracelet, and it is a Grand Seiko bracelet. It was not made for this model. I do not know what number it was made for. You might know. I waited about a year for the bracelet to come in, but I've never looked back.
It does change the look of the watch. I'd say a lot sportier.
Yeah. I wear this watch a lot. I love to fidget with the crown. I love to wind it. I have a relationship with this watch.
You've got a pretty even split between bracelets and straps. I take it you don't feel strongly one way or the other. It's watch specific?
It's watch specific. I find bracelets more comfortable, but if the watch just looks better on a strap, then I will wear it.
That's
or
fair.
Suffer through it, I will say.
You suffer through it. Okay. Well, I think Swatch would hope you're not suffering, but
No.
all the rest.
I'm not suffering.
Beauty hurts, Trust me, I know. But I lied
Sorry,
to.
I feel bad for you. I'm sorry.
I appreciate the commiseration. Lots of fun here. King Seiko, not something we see too often, but we were sort of talking about the idea of having like a neutral watch for those who work in the industry.
Yeah. So again, it's just another like rando story. I had seen an Omega Aquaterra that came out in their Shades collection with this gorgeous red dial, and when I saw that initially, I'm like, I'm getting this. This is my next watch. When it launched, it was very popular, and I was not able to buy that watch in any time period that my patience was wearing thin. So in the meantime, while I was waiting for that watch, I purchased this King Seiko, but ended up loving the King Seiko so much that I committed to this red dial as part of my collection. I think the crystal's great. I love the shape of the case. It's extremely comfortable. It is neutral. I travel in it, and I think it's like, I like that people don't know what I'm wearing. And if they happen to catch it and they know, it's like a little wink, like, okay, that's a cool
person
watch.
That's cool. That's a person you want to
I'm
be.
like, yeah, I got this. But that watch is, it's definitely not offensive to any brand if you wear that watch. It's like, there's almost a level of respect. It's like, oh, you have a King Seiko. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you go to a meeting with Omega, with Patek, Breitling, no one's going to take this the wrong way.
No, not at all. And I don't worry about it. It's very hardy, that watch, so I enjoy wearing it. It also came in some other colors, like a very beautiful lavender color a year later, and I actually thought about buying that as well.
Proving that if you want a rugged and reliable daily driver, you don't need to go down to like the Timex Ironman or Casio G-Shock level. King Seiko, really cool. It's not Seiko, it's not Grand Seiko, it's sort of its own thing. It's got a historic footprint of its own and a very solid watch.
Oh yeah, and I think the bracelet, the way it's made, the polishing of it, it's great. It goes with everything. So I don't always have to match, but I definitely was raised in the era of everything matches. So if I'm wearing black, if I'm wearing white, if I'm wearing gray, wearing brown, I wear this watch.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but your very earliest experience with a watch was a Seiko, wasn't it?
Yes. So when I was 13, I was gifted a Seiko that I was obsessed with. I thought I was very fancy. And sadly, it disappeared at some point, not long after. Probably someone gave the warning, she's gonna lose it, and I lost it.
Kids learn, the hard
yeah,
way,
it's still somewhere, I think it's stuck in a shoebox somewhere that's gonna magically appear. But
and then at some point, you mentioned you had the original Formula One?
I did,
tag?
I did. That was another thing I sort of begged for. Black rubber strap, black dial, and a lime green bezel. It's
I
awesome.
can endorse that. You like green, you like orange, you like hot pink, you're just like me, super bright colors. Very, very cool. Now, I suppose it's worth mentioning that this is not the extent of your collection. How many watches do you have total?
I have about 70 watches in total. Everything from, I have 6 or 7 Breitlings, I have 4 or 5 Hamiltons, I have a couple Zodiacs, I have Tissot, I have another Cartier, and then a lot of random fashion watches.
Stuff that you like.
Oh, stuff that I like. I have a beautiful Van Cleef that I'm not sure what it's called, but has a big buckle, and the dial is on the side of the watch. It's extremely cool. Looks like jewelry. You can't really tell it's a watch. I'm trying to think of what else was in it. I have just regular, like the Seiko 5 when they did the Rowing Blazer partnership. I have a couple of those, a couple of moon swatches. Just fun stuff, things that I like.
No, but that's good. I mean, we're going to have to film a part 2 based on that. In the meantime, I mean, that's the great thing about having access to employees with watches. The stories never end. Tell me the story behind this. You got a Mark XV here. This is a fascinating, for context, this is a model that was made from 1999 to about 2005, 2006. And it's a nice old school Mark series on an old school IWC bracelet. How did you discover this?
This I purchased when I worked at Goldberg's in my early part of my career, out of their pre-owned case. My mom then purchased it from me for my stepfather, and then it made its way back to me about 5 years ago. So it's gone around the family.
It's been in the family for a while.
Yeah, I love the dial. It's super legible. Think the size is amazing. Again, I think that bracelet is extremely cool. I like things that are unique in a sense that, just the way that the links have somewhat of a, I don't know how to describe it, like a pyramid design to them.
Yeah, they're very subtly faceted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that faceting and a lot of small links. It's got a very silky feel. And then every single link is removable, which is pretty cool for sizing.
I love this. And I like IWC in general. I mean, I think their design codes are consistent. So for the most part, I like that they stay true to those design codes over the years, and it's recognizable as IWC. And for me, as far as wearability, I mean, it looks like you could have purchased that yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, that is the nice thing about timeless design. Timeless don't crack.
Yeah.
So now in terms of like future ambitions, I guess there's a lot of different ways you could take the collection. We did talk about the Bonnoir, the bangle. What other directions do you think you might go in? Because you've seen a lot now, you have a pretty good idea of what's out there. There's always the chance that you see something and you fall in love tomorrow. But do you have any sort of ideas about where you might want to go?
Yeah, I definitely want to get the Michael Schumacher edition Speedmaster, which came in a few different versions, but there was a yellow, a blue, and a red dial. It used to come in this cool case that looked like a tire. I have a memory of the watch from way back. I've looked at it many times. I've wavered on yellow or red, and I have yet to purchase it. So that's definitely in my future. I don't know when. I think it's just a matter of timing and price and just condition of the watch. I would want that on a bracelet. So that's in there. Some of it, I'd like to get a Jaeger, a Reverso. I've always loved that watch. It's super classic. I don't necessarily know which one. I don't actually think I even care. I just want a rare Reverso.
If it looks good and it fits, but would you engrave it?
What would I engrave it with?
Or would you engrave it?
I don't think I would. I'd have to sit on that for a little while. I don't think I'd put my initials or anything on it because generally, I mean, all of my watches are going to get passed on to somebody. Although I think that is kind of cool, like when you find a vintage watch that has the engraving on it still. It was someone's like 20th anniversary at their company and they, worked for the gas company and it said that on the back of the watch or something. I actually like that, but...
Yeah, Robert Cox, 1931.
Yeah.
40 years at Standard Oil or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, my niece has the same initials as me, MC, so if I put MC on there, granted she may not be C forever, I could give it to her.
Well, we could also do what we talked about earlier and just put a sticker you like on the back. Just stickers on reversos.
Yes, I was saying I was going to bedazzle it. So
anything, because if it's a sticker, you can remove it.
Yeah.
Just put your favorite postage stamp on there and be done with it,
Yeah. So that's one. I don't know what else I would go for next.
Are you into complications at all? Because you do have some complications, but I think the aesthetic sort of comes first. Is there anything you'd want, like an alarm or a dual time or something that's not currently in the collection that you'd want to use?
I think some kind of world time or a dual time I would use if it was, quick set kind of mechanism. I used to love this Ulysse Nardin, like they made a ladies GMT and the second time zone was kind of like offset on the dial.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I used to love that watch. I don't know why. Again, it came in a bunch of colors and it was just kind of cool. I think I liked that they had a function for women back in the day. But no, I'm kind of like, just if I see it and I love it and it's kind of weird, I want to buy it. I've been looking at like older Omegas that are, from the 60s, early 70s, maybe something on some kind of like Milanese mesh bracelet, like asymmetrical case design, something like that. I've been kind of into those kinds of styles.
It's really interesting that you pick out unconventional watches from well-known brands. So you've got Seiko here, but you've got King Seiko, which is very uncommon these days. You've got Rolex, but a round-robin blue and orange dial with an engine-turned bezel. You've got Cartier, but it's a Roadster with a blue dial. You've got a Navitimer, but it's tritium, mid-size, and basically neo-vintage. So a lot of interesting pieces on that basis. The good news is you have so many watches, we can bring you back for a part 2.
I would be happy to come back.
This has been one hell of a collection. I got to see one of the most varied and entertaining and fun.
Thank you.
Melanie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's great.